Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. Now that Fate Reforged pre-release is over, it's time to prepare for release weekend. This is going to include a lot of drafting. In this video, we're going to go over, in our opinion, the best commons and uncommons in each color. Hopefully this guide will help you when you're staring at a pack and have no idea what to take. In past videos like this, we usually cover 2 to 3 commons and uncommons in each color, so expect that this time around. Let's talk Fate Reforged drafting. As always, we'll start with white cards. As far as uncommons go, I don't think you'll be that surprised. Lightform is arguably the best white uncommon. 3 mana for a 2/2 with flying and lifelink is already amazing, but the chance to manifest a creature that you can turn up eventually? Way better! Even with the double white and the casting cost, this is a no-brainer. Easy first pick a lot of the time. You get evasion, tempo, and a decent threat. Just 10 out of 10. The only other uncommon, at least in my opinion, that would fight Lightform for best white uncommon has to be Valorous Stance. Removal is good, even conditional removal. This condition won't be that difficult to trigger, and even when you can't use it, at least you can protect one of your own creatures with it. The Stance is a card that switches between protection and destruction. Extremely valuable, also a decent first pick. As far as white goes, there are plenty of good commons. The best one, though, has to be Sandstab Outcast. I mentioned this in a previous video, but the option to get either a 3/2 or a 1/1 with flying is just too good to pass up. The card's just pure value. Even if you take the 1/1 flyer, this guy can still fight morph and manifest creatures as a generic 2/1. It's a great card and it can fit in any deck running white. Next up is Sandblast because, again, removal is king. Sure, this requires combat, but if you played in the Fate Reforged pre-release, you'll remember that combat was everything. Creatures are attacking all the time ever. The condition on this is negligible. Sandblast is disgusting removal. The last white common I want to mention is Abzan Sky Captain. A 4 mana 2/2 isn't amazing, but flying does make it a little better. It's the bolster on death that puts it over the top for me. You're forcing your opponent to deal with this flyer and then another creature with a +2/+2 buff. It's hard to not get value out of this, is basically what I'm saying. Just another good card in any deck running white. Blue time, my favorite. Much like with white, you shouldn't be surprised with the uncommons I chose. First up is Cloudform, obviously. A flying hexproof 2/2 for 3 is just insane. If it's a creature, you can turn it face up and it retains that hexproof and flying. I know I don't have to explain to you why this card is bonkers. The double blue means nothing to me. Definitely first pickable. Definitely. The other blue uncommon I have to mention is Misfire Adept. I touched on it before, but the ability to grant flying is outrageously powerful, even if it's just for a turn. Worst case scenario, this is a 4/4 flyer for 4 whenever you trigger it. That's very, very good. Easily worth playing for that stupid trigger. Blue commons, I feel, are pretty easy to figure out, at least power level wise. Whisk Away is the first card I want to focus on. We've talked about how strong ruining someone's tempo is, and this card does it really well. Removing an attacker from the board can end up gaining you an entire turn. You also ruin their draw. For a 3 mana instant, this does a lot, and it does it well. It's definitely a first pick common in some situations. Next up is Lotus Pathogen, another card that I've been a huge fan of so far. The pre-release only cemented my praise for it. A 2/3 for 4 with flying is good. Give it prowess, unnecessary. This can block morph creatures forever. It can attack for a respectable amount in the air, and it survives 2 damage spells real well. Give it prowess and it defends against 3 damage spells. It's just a durable common flyer for a cheap cost. Playable. The last blue common I'll mention is Aven Surveyor. A 3/3 flyer for 5 is okay. A 2/2 flyer for 5 that returns a creature? Yes please. I may be biased toward cards like this, but the unsummon ability really is that powerful. That's why this is 5 mana, remember that. I'd rather save this card for something I want to bounce than play a 3/3 flyer. Just me though. Black uncommons. Honestly, not that great overall, at least in my eyes. Noxious Dragon and Battle Brawler are the only 2 uncommons I want to mention, and even then I wish there were more. The Dragon is just fine because the ability is removal. Worst case, you tap out, it dies, but you get to kill something, better than nothing. It is a 4/4 flyer, which is nice, but the reason I mention the Dragon specifically is because of the removal aspect of it. Battle Brawler is on this list, but only if you're playing white or red along with it. A 2/2 for 2 is nothing to write home about, but a 3/2 with first strike for 2? This is going to beat half the set and half of cons in combat. As long as you're playing one of the other colors, you can first pick this. It will not let you down. Just crazy good card for 2 mana. Black commons look much better than the uncommons. we have to start with Reach of Shadows and Douse and Gloom. Again, removal spells are king, and these two perform just fine. The condition on Reach of Shadows doesn't matter much since you don't want to spend 5 mana on a morph or manifest creature, so that's fine. Having instant speed also makes this particularly attractive. Douse and Gloom, while also being instant speed, helps deal with those pesky colorless 2/2s, and you get some life out of it. Both are great. I'd consider first picking the Reach, but probably not Douse unless the rest of the pack is just the worst ever. I do want to mention one other black common. This may not be a popular opinion, but I love Ancestral Vengeance. It tips the scales in your favor in a big way. Even if you have a board state of your 2/2 morph and their 2/2 morph, you end up with a 3/3 and they get a 1/1. It isn't the flashiest card ever, but it can change combat in an instant, and I love that. As per usual, good red uncommons are the direct damage spells. This time around, it's Pyrotechnics and Wild Slash. Both are amazing, both are good first picks. Pyrotechnics more than Wild Slash for the record, but regardless, both amazing. Play them. Not much more I can say really. Direct damage is pretty self-explanatory. Removal is removal. Red commons are not good. Personally, Bathe in Dragonfire is the only one worth mentioning because, again, removal's everything, even at sorcery speed. If I had to pick another one, the only other red common that I consider anywhere near decent is Goblin Heel Cutter, but I don't want to first pick this card, ever. It'll see play, and that's fine. It just shouldn't be the next best common in the color, you know? You could say red commons got burned this time around. Green uncommons are really, really strong. There were plenty to choose from. Obzan Beastmaster, in my opinion, just amazing. Card advantage should be valued highly in any format. This one's no different. Sure, there's a condition on drawing the extra card, but if you're playing Obzan or even Teamer, you shouldn't have too much trouble triggering this. Getting another card per turn for even just 2 turns could win you the game. It is that impactful. The Beastmaster might as well be an enchantment, by the way, because you're never attacking with him, ever. Even against an empty board. Don't risk a Sandblast. Don't say I didn't warn you. Teamer Sabertooth is the nuts in any kind of deck that runs any manifest at all. Even without the manifest synergy, we're talking about a creature that can protect any of your other creatures and itself from removal. They use a Bathe in Dragonfire, return the creature. They use Wild Slash, see ya! The Sabertooth is just unfair against removal-heavy strategies. If you untap with it, I'm not sure how any of your creatures die. Not a clue. Good game. Sabertooth could end up being one of the best uncommons in the entire set. Better than most rares even. Just first pick this, yeah. There are only 2 commons I want to highlight. Hunt the Weak and Whisper of the Wilds. Hunt the Weak because, again, removal. It is conditional, but in a green deck, much like with the Beastmaster, you should be bigger than your opponent. Play this card. Whisper of the Wilds is a super mana ramp. In a limited format where getting to 5 to 6 mana is important, Whisper helps do that pretty quickly. Consistent mana ramp plus a boost if you have Ferocious, yeah, this won't get cut anytime soon. There you have it. That's our list of the best commons and uncommons in each color for draft purposes. Remember, there are plenty of other cards that will perform just fine. These are just the ones that we decided to focus on. We didn't forget any, we just have favorites, so deal with it. Anyways, let me know in the comments which cards were your all-stars this past weekend. Anything surprise you as far as power level is concerned? I'd love to hear what you have to say. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time. Wow.